I speak with Warren Sapp directly as my source.
You don't have my permission to record me, just so you know.
You know you are a public servant, and I can record the police in the course of their duties. You might want to get in the Constitution, Chief.
Otherwise, they'll try and portray you as someone trying to extort the San Negro he.
Then you texted her on August 20th, 2019, you sunbathing naked again? Why did you ask her that question?
Flirtatious Texas.
Sheriff Stevens has been corrupting Okeechobee for almost 40 years. He makes $185,000 annually just to abuse his power and authority. You would be surprised to know Warren Sapp isn't the first person to sue him. In my last video, I exposed his first lawsuit when Dr. Saeed Khan was accused of sexual assault by Teresa Chandler.
Now, are you familiar with an allegation made by Ms. Chandler against Dr. Khan back in approximately May of 2020 regarding improper touching or things of that nature?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Could you tell us how you first learned of that allegation by Ms. Chandler?
I honestly don't recall exactly how I recall or was first notified.
Sheriff Stevens had an affair with Teresa and sent her sexual messages on his work-issued phone.
And then you texted her on August 20th, 2019, you sunbathing naked again? Why did you ask her that question?
Flirtatious Texas.
Had you seen her sunbathing naked?
No, sir.
Okay, so you just made that up?
Flirtatious Texas.
Okay, so that's a yes, you made it up.
Flirtatious Texas.
But you had not seen her sunbathing naked?
I've already answered that, sir.
It's no, right?
It's no.
He gave Teresa special privileges like inmate labor from the county jail to help her at work.
Bottom of page 3, there's a text on 7/12/2018 asking for a few trustees that can help me plant at around 5 o'clock. Do you see that request?
Yes, sir.
Does that seem to coincide with the request we just went through in Exhibit 1?
I believe so. It's got to do with the butterfly garden at Waste Management.
Did you ever receive a legal opinion on whether it was appropriate or legal to use inmate trustees in this manner?
No,
Form? You never did?
No, sir.
Okay. And are you familiar with the statutes regarding inmate labor?
Yes, sir.
Form, relevance?
Now, at the bottom here on July 13, 2018, you stated to her, special lady gets special treatment. And what did you mean by that?
Form, you can answer.
Just flirtatious, unrelated text.
Sheriff was in on the lawsuit and helped Teresa frame Dr. Khan for sexual assault.
And in fact, you were the person that Ms. Chandler went to report the crime.
Form.
I wouldn't call it that. I would say that she reported the crime to Deputy Reno. She didn't report anything to me.
She didn't text you?
Form.
Yeah, we've already talked about that. But she was directed to, if she wanted to make a report, she needed to call a deputy.
They also conspired with Fred Delaredo, a former lieutenant from West Palm Beach Sheriff's Office. Fred told Teresa the proper steps to extort Dr. Khan.
Are you familiar with a person named Fred Delaredo?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, you knew that when Ms. Chandler first reported this incident to one of your deputies, they downloaded her phone. So in regards to your answer you just gave us, I wanted to go through some of the corresponding text between Ms. Chandler and Mr. Delaredo. Could you read what it says? Listen, you have the right. Can you read that to us in red?
Listen, you just have to insist the primary reason for you're doing this is for your own sanity and peace of mind, as well as prevention of other victims. Otherwise, they'll try and portray you as someone trying to extort the San Negro he.
Okay. The suspect being a San Negro.
Form.
Is that fair to say?
Good assumption, yes, sir.
And then the word extort is there. What does the word extort mean to you?
I think we can look it up in the dictionary, and
Based on your experience, 30-something years as a law enforcement officer, what do you know it to mean?
trying to get something out of somebody for something.
Okay. And do you know if Ms. Chandler was trying to get something out of somebody for something?
No clue.
Sheriff became very defensive when asked about Fred Delaredo.
The alleged victim, Ms. Chandler, and this other person named Fred, who's telling her basically how to respond to why there was a delay in reporting.
I have
Form
no opinion on what was done and not done. You know, once again, all this information is turned in to the detectives, to the prosecutors. It's their responsibility and obligation to review the documents.
Okay.
I haven't been asked to review anything, nor am I prepared to review anything or give you my opinion at this point.
Well, the question is, you're the sheriff, right? And you have a deputy underneath you that you assign to this case at some point.
Okay.
Okay? That deputy has a duty and obligation to look at all the evidence.
Correct.
So I'm asking you, as the sheriff, looking at this evidence, does it cause you any concern?
I'm
Objection,
not
form.
prepared once again to give you my opinion hastily while we sit here today, you know, in this badgering that I'm receiving, sir.
Okay.
So if you got a complaint against the case officer, then there's a step and a process to do so,
And
it will be evaluated at that point
Sir,
if you let me finish,
well,
sir. Out of
We're
respect.
in the middle of a lawsuit against your office.
I understand, but I am
against you.
speaking, and there is respect to be had here,
Go
Counselor.
ahead. Say whatever you want to say.
I'm done.
Teresa was married to Tony Bishop during her affair with Sheriff Stevens. When Tony divorced her, she barely received any money due to their short marriage. On top of that, she was fired from her job at Waste Management and became very desperate for money. She was a patient of Dr. Khan from 2005 to 2019 and knew he had malpractice insurance. On February 25, 2020, Teresa texted Dr. Khan for a meeting about her divorce. During this meeting, she purposefully exposed her breasts and invited him to touch. Teresa later claimed Dr. Khan improperly touched her, even though she waited 70 days to report it.
The question is this. Tell them the reason you've hesitated to report it, quote unquote, his influence in the community, but the sleepless night and shitty dreams, along with wanting to prevent this from happening to others, prompted reporting it now.
Okay.
Okay. Now, as a law enforcement officer, you would agree that you would want to know any conversations that the alleged victim had about the incident with others. I mean, isn't that part of your investigation you just told us about?
I have no opinion, sir.
But
Hold on. You haven't established that he investigated anything.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Okay.
I think you should get there first, Val.
Well, so Mrs. Chandler basically tells you, first of all, I'm thankful they restricted his license for 8 months. Do you see that?
Okay.
So you knew his license was restricted?
I
Form.
didn't know.
Do you have any reason to believe Ms. Chandler was lying to you at that moment?
I could tell by my answer, my selective hearing, whatever she said, okay.
Okay.
You know,
And you told her she's doing the right thing.
okay.
He says the reason it was lifted was because they said they couldn't confirm I was his patient at the time of the incident. Do you see that?
Okay.
Do you know at the time of this incident whether Ms. Chandler was Dr. Khan's patient or not?
No, sir.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Do you know whether she had ever told anyone that she was his patient?
I don't know.
Teresa wasn't a patient of Dr. Khan when she accused him, and she didn't come there for an appointment. Detective Javier Gonzalez was assigned to the case and helped Teresa find additional victims.
12:53, you were receiving a text that says, Dina Campbell called last night. She met with Javier today. I think that makes 11. What was your response?
Nonchalantly, not feeding into what she is. I'm, okay. Basically.
What did you say?
I said, see the good you caused, proud of it.
Okay. So you're telling her, if I understand this, that you're proud of her having found 11 other victims, including
No, I
Dina
would say
Campbell?
that that's as you quoted before, having knowledge and experience in this, the struggles that these victims go through and to stand up for herself is probably what I'm referring to, sir.
Well, but you also know in all your careers in law enforcement that the victims lie.
Form.
True, but in this case, they had already been supported by the state to file charges. So it's once again it's a he said she said. It's who sadly is more believable in all actuality in these cases.
Sheriff acted like he wasn't up to date on the lawsuit, but Detective Gonzalez testified he kept him informed.
Detective Gonzalez gave us his testimony 3 or 4 weeks ago. He stated he met with you personally on this case and reviewed the evidence. Is that true or not?
We correct to a point. We're talking 30,000 foot level review. I don't have the time to get into the specifics of this case. I don't have the time to review, read what you're asking me to give my opinion on right now. He just basically comes in and tells me this case is moving forward. He had done this, he had done that. They're presented to the state attorney. We're talking less than 10 minutes, and he's gone.
So your first meeting with Detective Gonzalez was about what topic?
Well, I don't really recall. I mean, you know, what normally happens in these type of situations is the investigator that gets assigned will come and brief me, or their supervisor will, 2 or 3 times as this case moves forward. And once again, those 5-10 minute briefings, just so I'm aware of what's going on. And that's normally what happens.
Teresa also had an affair with Okeechobee Judge Wallace, while she was messing with Sheriff Stevens.
Messages between a person named William Wallace and Miss Chandler. Okay, who is William Wallace?
County judge.
And do you know whether William Wallace ever had any relationship with Miss Chandler?
No, sir.
Did you ever review any text messages between William Wallace and Miss Chandler?
Not until this deposition, the civil suit was filed.
Did you know whether Mr. Wallace and Miss Chandler had any type of romantic relationship?
No, sir.
You didn't know, or they did not?
I no knowledge.
Okay.
She texted him on multiple occasions asking for morphine, in which he provided to her.
From Miss Chandler to Mr. Wallace, yes, I love that morphine. What does that refer to, if you know?
Have no clue.
Huh?
Have no clue.
What is morphine?
Form.
A drug? That's a better question for the doc than me.
Okay, but as a law enforcement officer, you've dealt with morphine before, I assume.
Form.
Have you?
I haven't dealt with it, but yeah, it's something we arrest people for.
Okay, that's what I meant. So you're familiar that it's a scheduled drug that's illegal.
Okay.
Okay. In fact, you're completely against people having drugs like that, right?
Form.
Not completely against. I mean, there's people that have to have it.
Morphine?
Yes, sir.
You sure about that?
Doc?
If they're prescribed it, but yeah, okay. Go on.
Okay. What about people who have it without a prescription?
Form.
Then that's illegal.
It's pretty obvious Sheriff was aware of Judge Wallace giving Teresa morphine. He was passing out illegal narcotics at the Okeechobee Music Fest.
There's a reference in this page as well to a music fest. Do you see that?
Okay.
In the middle of the page, there's a conversation between her and Mr. Wallace. This year at Music Fest got you some more of that morphine.
Okay.
Also going to make certain my phone is fully charged. Get video will be there. Okay. Now, is there a morphine problem at the Music Fest?
Form.
You know, those, that's a 40,000 kids on 600 acres for 4 days. So there's probably every drug known to man and aliens that's there. I suspend my random drug test because there's so much marijuana smell and smoke that my folks will not pass the test.
But you do target people who are selling narcotics there, right?
I don't target people, but yes, I've got to address those where there's people that's preying on them as far as stealing, that's sexual assaults and just that's when you got 40,000 people congregated in the area. In my county, it's my duty to keep them safe.
Right.
So I'm dealing with a percent of people that's preying on them.
So you're looking for people with drugs.
Yes, sir.
Okay. At the Music Fest.
Correct.
Okay. Now, you had no idea what this conversation was about drugs at the Music Fest.
No.
Okay. And but you do know that this person named Wallace, William Wallace, is also a judge.
Okay.
Is he a judge?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is he the judge who handles arrest warrants?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Had you known this before you submitted the arrest warrant to Mr. Wallace, would you have chosen another judge?
I didn't submit the warrant.
Or your deputy, for example?
It's not my place to judge this. If that, if there was a speculation of that, then there's proper people that need to be made aware of that. The Florida bar would probably be the first, just thinking off the top of my head, that governs y'all and what you do.
But it's a drug crime, supposedly.
Well, I mean, you once again, as you're doing to me, you're speculating what this means and what the content and direction is.
Correct.
So whether your speculation is correct or whether it was just jokingly, I don't know. I wasn't involved in the conversation, Counselor.
But wouldn't you begin an investigation if you read that?
Form.
Or would you?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, you're asking me my opinion once again without me reviewing and being subjected to more than just a few text messages. I would want way more information to get before we get into that.
I'm not surprised Sheriff Stevens allows Judge Wallace to distribute morphine. Okeechobee has a history of drug use within their law enforcement. This is the same person that convicts people for drug crimes every day. He can't be trusted to sentence people and needs to be stripped from his position. Sheriff Stevens still hasn't taken accountability for anything that's happened. He blames Dr. Khan for exposing his affair and said it almost ruined his marriage.
The text messages revealed in this lawsuit upset my girlfriend at the time I was dating, who is now my wife. And we, as we are today, struggling with my improper text messages that we are dealing with personally. Okay. And I felt at that time that my local knowledge of me running for sheriff may not happen because of my marriage being more important to me than my chair as sheriff. My wife had reviewed those text messages.
Okay, and how did she review them?
I think she had printed a copy of it from the lawsuit. I don't know if she'd done a public records request or she got it from the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Did she later have her own press release?
I think she did.
Okay.
Hold on, let him finish. Form.
And what would you recall what she stated in that press release?
No, sir.
Sheriff made it clear how much authority his wife holds in town. He said she holds the authority of sheriff and can make decisions, arrests in Okeechobee.
Did you, at some point, decide to run for sheriff again?
Correct.
Okay.
We did. Let me correct myself. We did.
Who's we?
My wife and I.
Okay. But you're the one running.
My wife is running as well as I do, sir.
Right, but she's not running for sheriff.
She is running for sheriff. In a rural county, she is just as much the sheriff as I am. She shares me with the community way more than you have any clue.
Was that the situation with your prior wife?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened? Did you?
And there's another one in there too. This job takes so much of my time, and I'm on my third marriage, understanding these text messages were wrong when we were dating.
Okay.
But this is a very tough job, just as the doctor's job does, just as y'all's job, any job.
He still acts like the victim, despite all the evidence against him. He knew there would be no consequences, and he doesn't even hide what he's doing.
2019 of Ms. Chandler asking you about waiting for an appointment. And you respond, well, who needs to be tased, arrested, or beat up to get it done? Were you just joking when you said that?
Correct.
Okay.
It's scary to think about everything he's covered up throughout his 40-year career. Every one of those messages were sent off his work-issued phone that citizens paid for. You guys let me know how you feel about this in the comments. If you were Dr. Khan, would you have accepted the $26 million? I'm about to play the sheriff's deposition so you can analyze it for yourself. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to like and subscribe for me. Also turn on post notifications so you don't miss any news or updates. This is just the beginning. I'm going to uncover everything throughout the series. I have very reputable sources inside the town who have provided me with endless information. I appreciate your support to the channel. New video Monday night, and it's going to be a long one.